All right, welcome back, and it's time for us to get into the news review segment, and we're going to be talking through some of the activities that happened over the weekend, and we're going to be focusing largely on the NPP Super Delegates Conference and the fallout thereof. Now, the show is interactive. We do want to hear from you throughout the show, and so you can use the hashtag Breakfast Daily on all social media platforms, and then our WhatsApp line is 020-4447-033. Do send us a message. Let us hear your thoughts as we go through the show. Now, my guests are seated and they're right here. Let me introduce them to you. I have Jeffrey Kabote Okansi, who is Executive Director of Revenue Mobilization Africa, and I also have with me Dennis Asari, who's a Senior Research Associate with Imani Africa. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Very well.
We're doing good.
Good.
Okay, fantastic. We've not met before.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
It's good to have you. Good to meet you for the
good
first
to
time.
see you too.
Fantastic. All right, Kabote.
Yeah.
Habitants.
We manage. It's been a very loaded weekend for me, though.
Yeah. With all the things that are happening.
Yeah. You have a lot to listen to. You have a lot to watch as well. So you're watching football, you're listening to the news.
So many things
all around
going on.
you.
Yeah, and of course we also had the This Is Ghana fair and exhibition at the AMA as well. So
it was pathetic. I could not get down and pass through, but I spied when I was going to Makol actually.
Oh, I see. You saw us over there.
I saw the wonderful action going on.
Yeah. It was great. All right. So in the midst of all the things that were happening, NPP was also electing. Beginning the process to elect, their flag bearer, and but we want to look at some of the fallout from what happened there. Let me just go through quickly. We already know the results, from the elections. Let me quickly read this from the Chronicle. We have complete massacre, 629 out of 797 grassroots of NPP endorsed Veep Baumia to break the 8. As I said earlier, I'm not sure exactly why Chronicle's referring to them as grassroots, because these are the upper echelons of the party, And so the story here says majority of the constituency, regional and national executives, as well as 137 members of a parliament who cast their ballot, did so in favor of the vice president. Now, none of his opponents could get 23% of Baumia's 629 votes garnered on Saturday's Super Delegates held across the country. All right, now there were 927 total votes cast, and 923 total valid votes, and the results thereof, the closest contender, who was Agyapong, managed 132 votes, which translated into 21% of Baumia's votes, with the next candidate being Kyerematen, who polled 95 votes, representing 15% of what Baumia secured. But we want to look at the first story, where it says, can Agyapong hauled before disciplinary committee over showdown comment? All right. Now, it's the story here is on the Daily Analyst, page 3 and 4 of the Daily Analyst. It says here, let's begin with that. So, the New Patriotic Party has made clear its intention to summon the flag bearer aspirant Kennedy Ohene Agyapong before the disciplinary committee of the party. The move follows open threats and accusations directed towards President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia during a special delegates conference last Saturday by Mr. Agyapong. In a widely circulated video, Mr. Agyapong, who is the Asin Central Member of Parliament, is seen threatening the two leaders over attacks on his agents. Now I'm going to give you a quote. It says here, Mr. President Akufo-Addo, I will give you a showdown in this country. I swear to God. Vice President, I will give you a showdown for chasing my agent away. I swear to God. You will hear what will happen here. I swear to God, I will challenge President Akufo-Addo big time. Mr. Agyapong is heard speaking on the said video. Okay, so let me start with, let me say, the guests first.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Dennis,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that good morning to your viewers and listeners as well. I think one of the reasons behind having such a Super Delegates Conference is to ensure that at least the key decision makers of the party get the opportunity to identify at least top 5 candidates who can pick the right person to lead the party in the upcoming elections. And so if you look at the caliber of people put together to form the Special Delegate Conference, you should expect that these are people who understand the party's rules, understands the party's, let me say, philosophy, and knows who will be a right person to lead the party. And for such an election to be marred with such comment, it creates an impression that there was some sort of insider manipulation to favor a particular candidate. And what makes it even more serious is that this is the candidate who is the first runner-up in this super delegate elections, and so it creates sort of some sort of indictment on the overall election, which the NPP regards as peaceful. If you listen to the General Secretary and other leaders of the party, they believe that this was a test of the amendment they did to their constitution. And to them, it was an overwhelming success for them, and they congratulated all the parties for working together. But for a key member of the party, and for that matter, an aspirant, to suggest that, to some extent, the establishment who has been accused of having some sort of support for a candidate, although not, there's not been any evidence to justify all of those assertions and claims, to make a statement that suggests that indeed the establishment did something or might have done something, or the leading aspirant might have done something to sort of undermine the rules of the game during the election. I think it's an indictment on the whole process, as well as even the people who participated in it and the National Executive Body who organized the election. So it is fair that they invite him to explain some of the comments that if you say a showdown, what does it mean? Secondly, what were the real issues that made him agitated? And if you see the video, you can see he was a bit worried and angry, and the words that he used, I think it is very fair for the party to call him to the disciplinary committee. What this also means is that the party is also communicating to the public that irrespective of your position, your role in the party, as well as whether you're an aspirant or a delegate, if you go foul against the rules and the constitution of the party, there are internal institutions to deal with it. So that in the much bigger elections, when there are issues, there wouldn't be issues where if someone makes similar statement and they are not sanctioned, and this time around someone is sanctioned. So in order to set the internal governance system straight and ensure that all institutions that they've set, or the processes that they've laid down to ensure a peaceful selection of presidential candidates, people comply with it. I think it is fair to hear him, and if he went foul against the party's constitution, they would take the steps to address it by applying the sanctions, as well as ensuring that there is fair play. I mean, there's a much bigger election coming up, and so they must ensure that anything that would undermine the efficiency of the process or the fairness or transparency of the process. But it also gives them an opportunity to also hear from other aspirants as well as delegates which aspect of the process was flawed. Because apart from 2014 and let's say 2012, this is a major super delegate election that they have conducted, and so it gives them the opportunity to hear from people. So we shouldn't expect that they are going to punish him or do anything. I don't know the full rules of the disciplinary committee, but I think that it is an opportunity for them to hear him, as well as not only him. You also hear Yaboabian Samoa also make some claims, and other people have also made some statement that suggests that all the rules that were set were not fully applied. So the disciplinary committee, even beyond candidate Agyapong, this gives an opportunity to hear feedback and take steps to address it. But for me, given the caliber of people who were put together for this, and for an aspirant who was the first runner-up, to suggest some sort of influence directing towards the executive, I think it is a very serious comment that the party should take consideration, in the disciplinary committee must sit over it.
I want to sort of weigh a bit into the need for the super delegates election. as opposed to saying that let's just go for the general delegates election straight away. Because at the end of the day, you have the general delegates, the major delegates conference that will take place on November 4th, has many more people involved. Now, is the results that we see in the Super Delegates Conference, is that a reflection, in your opinion, of what's to come? Or is NPP really just sort of tickling themselves to, because you see, some people are saying that Alan is going to do a much better showing when it comes to that, and if he does, it also then means that maybe the leadership is out of touch with the grassroots, if he does. But if he doesn't, and it goes according to the way it's gone, then they might as well have just gone straight into the main conference instead of having different elections, you see. I don't know what your thoughts are on some of these.
Well, I think that if you look at after the 2007 Delegates Conference, they had about almost 17 aspirants filing to contest for the 2008 election. And so the idea was that we should have a system internally that sort of takes a sample size of all our delegates to appoint at least the top 5 candidates. And if you look at the composition of the super delegate, it is very exhaustive and it covers every aspect of the party, including even the external branches and the organs. And so in my view, the composition of the super delegates is very comprehensive and touches on every aspect of the divisions or departments or organs of the party. And so we are selecting key people who represent the party across the entire country to select top 5 people that we should field. And I think that these people do not represent themselves, the super delegates. They represent regions, specific divisions within the party. And so the idea is that they would have consulted with the party people that they represent before coming to vote. And so I think it's an internal layer that one would help them to sift through the people and ensure that one, cost management as well as the whole process of managing the election is not complicated or complex. So I think that for them, this is a real test. And I think this is the first time that they are effectively using this Super Delegates Conference. So it is a test to measure whether this Super Delegates Conference, it's good or it's something that they should shelve. But I think the composition is rich and it reflects the key leaders within the party. And so if the key leaders appoint a person or vote for a person and at the general delegates conference, the results are otherwise, it gives room for a lot of interpretation to look at whether these people after the Super Delegates Conference really worked hard to get in touch with the real delegates who are going to appoint them, or is it that the leaders who appointed or who voted in this Super Delegates Conference did not really consult with the people, or their vote did not reflect the actual needs or the desires of the broader delegate. But I think that for the candidates themselves, maybe if I should pick one or one after the other, if you look at Bawumia, if you look at his history in the party, apart from prior to 2007, he was not really known within the party. And it was after 2008, and in the last since 2008, he's taken advantage of all the opportunities within the party to make himself known. And after the 2008 election, 2012 election, he took advantage of the gap, engaged the people, went through every aspect of the country to get in touch with people, to make himself known. And I think for me, that is paying well for him in this Super Delegates election. And what is very instructive too is that these are people in the party, like the National Council, the National Executive, Regional Executive Council of all Elders. These are key leaders within the party who have been in the party even more than himself. These are people whose contribution in the party or whose understanding of the philosophy of the party is even much more richer than he himself. But for him, plus the members of parliament and representative of the different wings of the party, for them to demonstrate this confidence in him, it also tells that he has been able to sort of convince them that he is someone who can do the job if given the opportunity. Even though he came to meet other aspirants who have contested for this election since 1996. But for them to demonstrate this confidence in him, I think it is a lot of work that he also needs to do to ensure that it is not just only the elders or the leaders of the party who form the national, the super delegates, as well as even members of parliament. Exercising this whole confidence in you, he has a lot of work to do. And also to the other aspirants, there are also a lot of opportunity, because now they are going into an election where there's a wider number of delegates that you can get in touch with and influence. So anything can happen in that one, because the number is really huge. Or it could appear that maybe the needs of the actual delegates within the party may be different from the super delegates, and that gives room for us to understand whether these people really consulted and represented. It also suggests the reach of these aspirants at the grassroots as well as even at the leadership level.
Okay. Now, before Jeffrey comes in, let me just read a statement by the Honorable Alan Kyerematen. And this one says, on Saturday, 26th of August 2023, the Special Electoral College, convened by the New Patriotic Party, selected my good self as one of the presidential aspirants to contest the November 4th presidential primaries. Now, congratulations to all my colleagues who participated in the selection process. Now, I wish to use this opportunity to thank the Almighty God for His grace and mercy in guiding my path this far. I would also like to express my profound appreciation to the delegates of the Special Electoral College who voted for me in this initial selection process. Now, my appreciation goes to my family and the Alan for President 2024 campaign team, including members of the pro-Alan groups, for their dedication and commitment to my campaign agenda. I would, however, like to express my deep sorrow about the brutal assault on my polling agent in the Northeast region. This is an indelible blot on the integrity, to the integrity of the internal democratic process within the NPP. I wish my colleague speedy recovery and God's manifold blessings, and would like to assure him and his family of my unwavering support for his well-being. The A4P campaign coordination team is currently analyzing the results of the Special Electoral College election, and in the course of this week I will deliver a public broadcast on the way forward for my campaign. I wish to reassure my teaming supporters, particularly those at the grassroots level, that the battle is still the Lord's, and that those who wait upon the Lord shall have their strength renewed. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Now, Jeffrey.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts on the situation that happened, well, basically the general view of everything that happened, as well as the bringing of Agyapong before the disciplinary committee for comments made.
Right. First of all, let me greet your viewers, and then let me congratulate Citi FM for telling the Ghana story. You know, your program is very catchy. I mean, a people is one group, but then when you tell your own story, you tell it the way it should be, you know, and it defines you, the way you live your life, your culture, who you are, and so it's important. And this humbling opportunity to share my view. Like we all accept, it's a special electoral college, but it's an electoral college. And it was a process of election. You cannot take that one away from it. There was a contest. I mean, it's a contest. People went in with their hopes of winning. So emotions are attached, and we should just move on with that notion back in our thinking. You know, there's this clarity I would like to put there that, you know, it is very worrying when persons try to paint another picture of what everybody saw.
Okay.
The beauty of such processes is that our national security officers were there, the Electoral Commission of Ghana officials were there, the media were there, and reps of the contestants were there. So, I mean, respectfully, let me say, it wasn't children who gathered there. These were adults. So, at the end of the day, observers, as we sat in our house, we saw the opportunity of having someone flare out of anger. And let me say this. Unfortunately, on social media, I was trying to correct a few people. I'm Christian, so let me choose my religious antecedent of this situation. At a point, Jesus Christ entered the church with a whip out of anger. You see, so it is right to get angry, But when it comes to issues of emotional intelligence, I mean, as to how you react, we may differ. Okay, and I can say, if I were contesting, personally, if I were contesting, and my agent was chased as purported, or the gentleman I saw his swollen face, for which Honorable Alan Kyerematen has issued this statement. Look, a swollen face is nothing nice.
Yeah.
That is violence.
It looked pretty brutal.
And you see, as far back, many years ago, I was on a platform with Honorable, with Madame Dr. Ofe Abuaji. It was on a discussion on why women are not into politics. One of the issues I flagged was the issues of corruption and money exchange, and then violence. Violence remains one of the reasons why we've not been able to achieve that gender parity we've been fighting for. Because my sister would not stay there, my mother would not stay there, my friend, the lady I chat with on phone, would not stay there when you start slapping and hurting people to this degree. Majority of the people, when they comported themselves, they voted, observers were quiet, everything. But you see, even if there's somebody who come, that's where people come in with percentages that I don't accept. Even if there's one case of violence, it's important we handle it. One case of violence.
Yeah.
Because you set a precedence for somebody to watch on and think that it is only okay for one person to be slapped or come out with such a face after election. Look, it is thumbs, not fists, not slaps. It's the beauty of it is that you are given a paper, you have to thumb who you want. You have that liberty.
It's your choice.
Yeah.
So I think at this level, we all should accept that, as alleged as we think it is, there were issues that happened that are tensions. I was very involved in student politics. Okay. And your colleague OJ was also a national news, we were all in there. Majority of the people, okay, the beauty of it is majority of our student politicians migrated into national politics. So majority of them, we've enjoyed the beauty of democracy with them at that young levels before. So why would it be the case that you cannot just continue with the beauty of it? Look, in Ghana, we are either related by blood or maybe church groups, education, and we have that mix. So at a level like this, what do you expect? Do you expect to see the rule of law? And it should apply by the party's own rule and the rules of the state. These two rules should tell you that once there are complaints, for me, the end at which the national executives are inviting the Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, that's the beauty of democracy. They are finding ways of handling it internally. But I was expecting to also hear that a formal police complaint has been made for the gentleman who was abused. The moment, you see, even brothers, when a brother slaps a brother, born by the same mother and father, when there is a slap, there's an abuse, it ends up in the police station.
It has to.
The police may give you that opportunity after the case, maybe even the courts. Even if it gets to the courts, they might give you the ADR. So that you have an alternate dispute resolution. So that is, but you see, go through the processes, lessons will be learned, and then people will refrain. It serves as an example to the people who think that maybe at the heightened state of their emotional swings, they should throw a hand. Or, even verbal abuse. You see, some of the comments that the honorable member made out of anger, don't throw all under the carpet. You need to invite him. That's why the committee is inviting him. To let him tell them, maybe who's, sometimes some people enjoy breeding tensions. They might even be out of suspicion. They might make a comment, and then this honorable member, at that peak of a moment, you heard that he was told via phone. He can't be everywhere. And you see, you cannot, when he has gotten somebody to represent him, to get an agent, a person to say, oh, I'll vouch and stand for you. It is not easy to do. We have followed politics for some time. We have listened around, and we have been observing for some time. There are persons who will tell you they will vote for you, or maybe they will support you, but they cannot be agents for you. Others also, because of the political terrain, refrain from coming on the forespot already because it's so divisive. I mean, some of the languages are not encouraging. So while we move as a country and we move forward, we are expecting that there will be that, maturity to handle issues. You can disagree. Personally, I'll tell you what, I've known you for some few years, but I can predict you in situations like this. You will be the person who say, no, I don't agree. But let me tell you what, I mean, if the camera can come right in front of me, me, Jeffrey Kabuteo Kansi, I will not keep quiet over it.
Yeah.
I will flare.
Yeah.
I will flare. Maybe I will throw my hand. But that is my mate.
Yeah.
That is my mate.
Yeah.
So I can associate with the flaring. That's what I'm telling you. Look, I'll get angry if I want to contest. If I play lawn tennis.
Okay.
If I play and make my point, and you tell me it, and I see what I'm seeing, I might flare. After some seconds, I might calm down, but I'll flare. And you know, in football, we've seen gentle footballers. Maybe when they are pushed or maybe whacked on the field, they react out of anger because that's pain. Pain can come in several forms. How you take it on the spot of the moment. But I'm sure if you gave the honorable member another opportunity, he might apologize for some of the things that he said. But his anger, what caused him the anger, he will still go back and tell you the problem. So I think it's good. They've had a contest. I mean, some of the things we projected and predicted were the 3 runners. Just that, for my personal surprise, and a few people I've listened to, that Honorable Kyerematen being around for some time, having Agyapong, bit into the 3rd position, was a bit, a swing of thoughts. I mean, I knew the 3 of them were going in there, but he's been around for some time. But with the popular talk around, it was obvious maybe the vice president staying in office and doing a lot of, the front works for his president. He was in the lead, so you could pair the 3 of them. Then when you come to the views of people thinking of the next 2 to join, another surprise came to board again when the former Agric minister pulled to be the 4th position. And you see, for those who still think, oh, it was an internal, just a super delegate, I tell you, it's not. It's a contest. In the fact that even in the same 5th place, there's going to be a runoff. That should tell you how heightened the select is.
So
it's a competition.
Let me ask you your thoughts on this. We'll take a break shortly, but let me just ask your thoughts on this. Stephen Adadimo, very interesting.
Right.
You don't hear much of him throughout the entire process till the elections, but somehow he features, and he seems to still have some kind of a bite. Because I felt that maybe Agyapong may do better, and so on. But they quietly, almost, not without much fuss, there you see Adadimo, in a tie,
Bring home the facts. Bring home the facts. This is a small select of elite group. You'll be surprised, and I can tell you later in our discussion on this same topic. I can tell you some of the projections that might happen when the larger group comes to select. Among the first 3 again, there might be some big surprises. Among the first 3, because then you are going to a larger group, and then it won't be the elite you were actually trying to state clearly that the Chronicle reportage was it wasn't the grassroots. It was actually the elite.
This is the elite of the party.
The sitting and talk about it people. I mean, but the rest of the people will be convinced by, this very first round is going to change the thinking of the majority group. Because people maybe did not give some people dogs chance, but when they see that statement that it is possible for this guy to pass through, they might change their thinking. And so for me, I think, it's a process.
We'll definitely look into the possibilities of what's going to happen on November 4th after this quick break. Okay.